Natasha Leggero is a comedian who on New Year's Eve was on NBC with Carson Daly, and they did a segment where they talked about the funniest stories of 2013, and one of those stories was about how SpaghettiOs had a tweet where they said, "Take a moment to remember Pearl Harbor with us," and they had a picture of the SpaghettiOs mascot, like basically a SpaghettiO with a face on it, holding an American flag. And a lot of people thought it was just an out-of-touch tweet and disrespectful, so it got a lot of press. And during that segment, Natasha said, quote, "It sucks that the only survivors of Pearl Harbor are being mocked by the only food they can still chew." Now, of course, since we live in the age of Twitter and social media, they got a hold of this and they flipped out. I mean, I'll give you a taste of how outraged people were. One person said, "Making fun of Pearl Harbor vets? I've got family on the Arizona. There are lots of things to mock, not them." Another said, "Making fun of Pearl Harbor vets? Changing channel. Disgusting. Really, NBC?" Another was, "Making fun of Pearl Harbor vets? You are a vile human being." And the list goes on and on. I mean, they were slamming her left and right. So how did she respond to the criticism? Well, I mean, naturally, since we see what goes on nowadays with people like Martin Bashir, Melissa Harris Perry, you come out, you bow your head and you apologize and you cry. And you say, "Oh, if I offended anybody, I just want you to know I'm never going to offend anybody ever from now until I die. In fact, all I'm going to talk about, I'm either going to shut my mouth or just talk about puppies and rainbows and holding hands and singing Kumbaya and things that are totally not controversial." Thankfully, that's not how she handled it. In fact, she released a statement, said, quote, "I'm not sorry. I don't think the amazing courage of American veterans, and specifically those who survived Pearl Harbor, is in any way diminished by a comedian making a joke about dentures on television. Do we really believe that the people who fought and defended our freedom against Nazis and the Axis powers will find a joke about SpaghettiOs too much to bear? Sorry, I have more respect for veterans than to think that their honor can be impugned by a glamorous, charming comedian in a fur hat." And then she slammed the outraged people for having idiotic priorities also. She said, quote, "On the other hand, you have veterans who receive inadequate care upon their return from active duty, rampant sexual assault against female soldiers, staggering rates of suicide, traumatic brain injury, PTSD, substance abuse, and depression among soldiers, and political gridlock that prevents these problems from getting solved quickly." And then she ended the comments with a link to donate money to disabled veterans to try to change those problems which she laid out, the actual problems. Here's my response to what she just did. You, ma'am, are fucking brilliant. Or actually, maybe that's not fair. Maybe you're the only person who's just sane and all the people attacking you are blithering idiots. I'm so tired of the PC police, whether they come from the left or the right, where they think they have a right to never have their feelings hurt. Get over yourself. You know what actually being liberal and progressive means? It means you believe in freedom. And the freedom for somebody to say whatever they want to say, and that's the First Amendment, in fact. These are the freedoms that those veterans fought for. You have freedom of speech, freedom of expression. As long as you're not screaming, fire in a movie theater, bomb on a plane, or directly threatening violence or inciting violence, then you're fine. Then you're well within your rights. So stop trying to censor people just because you personally dislike what they said. Look, I think Dennis Miller is a horrendous comedian, and he's terrible. I've never laughed at anything he's ever said. I think Rush Limbaugh is, oh my God, just beyond pathetic and super, super stupid and offensive and every negative, adjective in the book I can use to describe him. But I'm not out here saying you should, censor him. I'm not out here saying Dennis Miller should be, completely never allowed to get a Showtime contract, a HBO contract, kick him off TV and, make him live in a corner and cry in shame. No, I understand that I have the right to disagree with somebody in a free society if I don't like what they say, and if I don't like it, I won't tune in, I won't listen anymore. So, okay, guys, don't listen. But please, spare me your moral indignation, like you're above it all, and like, if you actually care about the issues like she laid out, do yourself a favor. Go picket to end the war in Afghanistan, which we're supposedly going to be in for another 11 years, right? To actually save their lives. Do something substantive. Push for a universal healthcare system. push for a better social safety net that doesn't allow our veterans to fall through the cracks. Push for legislation that stops the 57,000 homeless veterans from being homeless. Don't, spare me that you said something and this is how I'll express my support for the troops. No, the way you actually support the troops is by supporting the fucking troops through policy, not by through he said, she said, I like what you said or didn't like what you said. That's what children do.